Hey there everybody, welcome back to the final video for the Clock Tower Let's Play. I decided that even though we did manage to get the best ending possible, and I pretty much showed off the best route possible you can possibly take through the game, I'd be remiss if I didn't show off at least one other alternate means that you can take to get through the game. Because as I might have mentioned before, I think there are about 7 or 8 different possible endings to the game. And I have all those recorded, and I'll be uploading those in another video, but, well, while most of those don't really have an interesting way to get to said ending, I did want to show off at least what I felt to be the, I guess, second best possible way to get through the game. Also, it gives me an opportunity to show off some of the things that might change with subsequent playthroughs, such as, you might remember this box was originally empty, but sometimes you might be able to find the West Wing key in here. Now, we did find this key before in the bird's nest, but sometimes it can appear in this living room. And along with that, you might sometimes be given privy to see this weird little cutscene here. Yeah, this was another PS1 exclusive scene. And it gives us a little preview for, I think, Dan Burrows, who we blow up later on in the game. But it's, I guess, a nice little bit of foreshadowing. But yeah, for the most part, your initial journey is pretty much always going to be the same. Your friends are going to disappear. You're going to need to find the West Wing key. And you're going to have to run into the Scissor Man for your initial time. Now, for our first run through, you might remember we ended up hiding in the bedroom here and having to deal with this this horrible knot parrot. Apparently, parrots do not have this coloring. And this time around, we're going to be choosing a different route, but we still have to go in here because pretty much no matter what, you're always going to have to go through the cradle under the star. And to do that, you're always going to have to get this perfume to, make the guard dog think that you're Miss Mary. But there is another nearby room that we can use for a hiding spot. And it's a lot easier to set up as a hiding spot than, having to deal with the parrot. But to make sure that we do that, we are going to have to go through, I guess, finding a different one of our friends brutally murdered. Now to do that, we are going to ignore this bathroom because we already know that Laura died in here previously. And believe it or not, we can temporarily save her life by not going in there, instead just pushing onto the foyer. Yeah, the problem is that if we manage to save Laura's life, Anne gets taken out in the process, but yeah, since we did manage to ignore the bathroom initially, we can now use that as a handy-dandy hiding spot. And yeah, we don't have to really do anything additional. Just running inside will cause Jennifer here to just immediately lock the door. And I guess Scissor Man just, he's a courteous guy. He won't interrupt our bathroom excursion. Now, I am fairly certain that you can't keep using this bathroom over and over again because after a while he will decide to break down the door, but yeah, you can at least use it for this initial run through of the hallway here. But yeah, there are, I think, 3 different places you can run into Scissor Man initially to see one of your friends get murdered. We've seen Laura here get killed in the shower, where she's no longer, because instead Anne died. We saw Anne get impaled out in the foyer, but the third location, it's a little bit harder to find and involves Anne getting drowned. We'll see that location later. For right now, though, we want to go ahead and set things into motion in probably a way that might not make a whole lot of sense. Now, we already know about the key in the freezer. We already know about the dangerous drink that will knock us out and, get us stuck in a cell with a cannibal. But one thing I didn't pick up earlier for a particular reason is this ham. Now, this ham hock is going to be very important for our little excursion here. Because even though it wasn't a good idea to get drunk and pass out, this time around, that is exactly what we want to do. Now, you want to do this early, though, because it seems, from what I experienced, is that later on, if you are low on health or stamina, you can come back to this location and drink this beverage, and instead of knocking you out cold, instead it will refill your stamina up to full, and you can only do that once. Once you do it that one time, the bottle is gone, and you're locked out from doing what we are about to do, which is to find out more about our lovely cannibal friend here. Now, initially he decided to have us for a snack, but this time around we have come a little bit better prepared, and we're going to give him this lovely ham hock. And by giving him this ham, we are giving him some pretty useful information, namely the fact that this guy is Mr. Burroughs. That's right, he is the head of the household that has, for some reason or another, been locked up and starved almost to the point of insanity. As to why, well, I'll explain that a little bit later. But for right now, he mentions that someone is watching us from the cradle under the star, and that's pretty much the information we need to figure out where we inevitably need to go. The problem is that, well, we are still stuck in here, which is a bit of a problem. But that problem gets solved quickly enough with our good friend Lot. Now, normally you wouldn't see Lot for quite a bit of time, but if you do go this route, she will be nice enough to come unlock the cell and let you out. But, well, there's a little additional problem here. Because, yeah, Miss Mary is right behind us. And as opposed to most other times, Miss Mary is a little bit more dangerous here. Because Miss Mary is packing a gun. And instead of setting up any pretext that, she might be on our side, instead, yeah, she's just ready to shoot us all. So we don't have much time, and there's pretty convenient hiding spot nearby, so let's go ahead and use that. Seems to make perfect sense, I'd say. The problem is that, well, we are in a pretty small shack, I suppose, and yeah, it would kind of take someone pretty stupid to not realize where we could be hiding. Yeah, so the box is not the answer. And much like the cat burglar of olden times, we're shot dead. But, instead of hiding, maybe we should take a more proactive approach to all this. There could be something else of use in this shed here. Yeah, if we venture a little bit forward, we find this handy-dandy 2x4. Yeah, and we give Miss Mary a good whacking and safely make our way slowly out of the shed. Not only that, we find ourselves out in the inner courtyard of the mansion. And there's not really too much of a reason to ever go out here, though you can get out here a little bit earlier. But yeah, this is the final location where you can see I think Anne get drowned out in the pool there. But, you know, still, it's good to cover, I guess. Also, we can get out here again pretty easily because by moving that box, we now have an easy means to get from, you know, outside of the courtyard back inside the mansion. But the next thing we want to do is first run through what I think is a little bit of a bug. Because, yeah, we run into Miss Mary again, and she seems to have forgotten that she tried to shoot us earlier. So, instead of walking over to get totally shanked, we're just going to leave really quick and let her magically phase out of existence. Because we do need to make sure that we get both the gold and silver key. Because, well, we need the gold key to get the silver key, but there is something else that happens in this room whenever you do have Anne die first. And it's, I would say, pretty easy to miss. But yeah, more important than anything, we do need the silver key. But yeah, I didn't investigate the suit of armor here in the corner before because there wouldn't have been anything in it, but yeah, if you let Anne die first, the suit of armor has a special surprise for us. And that is the fact that instead of Laura being killed in the shower, she's now been killed at some other point and shoved into this armor so we can find her bloody corpse later. So, yeah, now both Anne and Laura are completely dead, so well, we're not going to be saving either one of them this time, but that's okay. Because it's not really going to be relevant to our finishing of the game. Also, I find it a bit strange that the phone decided to stop ringing. I thought maybe it would stop it ringing for the rest of the game, but yeah, I think it's just because of that little cutscene that triggered. But yeah, our next quick little detour that we want to take is down to this library. Because not only will it give us the necessary clue to figure out what item we need to unlock the cradle, which I am a bit bummed because it was the idol again instead of the scepter, which, yet again, it's another randomized thing. I am a bit bummed I wasn't able to show it off, but oh well. But yeah, the other important thing you want to do in here is to make sure and read the book on the desk. Because that book will mention the clock tower and how super important it is. And you might be wondering why we need that, and that's because otherwise, well, now that Lot is completely dead, she will not be able to give us that very useful information in the cradle under the star, so, well, something bad ends up happening if you don't have that useful information. You'll see that in one of the other endings, but yeah, I also decided, since I had to get the demon idol either way, that I would go ahead and double check on our poor dad's skeleton. Also, I was a little bit spooked here because you can run into Scissorman here, but also this is the one, I think, other location where you can find her unlucky little cat scare. I think that's a nice little touch. Still a bit surprising that for how many times I played this, it really seems like you have to really go out of your way to find places for the Scissorman to trigger in some of these rooms. Maybe I was just, taking too direct of a path. It's a bit hard to say, but yeah, I'm sure there are other videos out there that'll show you all the wonderful, weird places he can show up. Like he can show up in that mannequin room decapitating a mannequin, or he can pop out of a roof tile in, I think, like that piano room. I am a bit sad, but I think it would have been way more effort than needed to find all those little places he can pop up. But yeah, as we did get pretty much the main plot from Mr. Burroughs this time around, there is a little bit of a change in this sealed off room. And when I say little change, I mean there's just nothing in here. Like, we lose any information about Jennifer's dead dad. We don't find out about the evil twins that managed to eat a man's hand. Like, we don't even find out really about Miss Mary, except we already kind of found out about her because she totally tried to shoot us and all that. But yeah, it's a pretty dramatic difference in regards to where you end up getting the plot, depending on if you go with Mr. Burroughs or if you find this room. But yeah, outside of that, up until almost the very ending, everything is pretty much the same. But it's at this point when we're going to take a pretty massive detour from where we went initially. Now we're still going to go up to the 3rd floor because we still want to go up to the clock tower. And there are other things you can do on the 2nd floor. You can see all those in the additional endings video. But yeah, this time around we haven't saved the birds, so they're not going to be helping us. And both of our friends are dead, Lot's dead. Jennifer is pretty much entirely on her own at this point. Good thing is that we did, in an alternate recording, manage to make sure and read up on the clock tower here, so we can pretty easily deal with the Scissor Man. But this time around, we have to deal with Miss Mary completely on our own. And we get a pretty shocking end to the story. Yeah, I think that's a pretty interesting alternate way to end the game. Jennifer still manages to survive. One of the Burroughs twins still, survives in the underground and lives on the next clock tower game. And even though most of Jennifer's friends are dead, from what I know about the next clock tower game, that's apparently just the canonical ending. Like, the next game makes it seem like the only people that really survived here was Jennifer, and I guess this ending more or less supports that. But still, it's nice to see that, especially for a Super Nintendo game, there is a pretty dramatic secondary way you can get through the game that involves feeding ham to a cannibal and sacrificing your friend so that you can bludgeon your crazed, demon-spawning teacher. I lost track, sorry. It's good ending. It's a good game all around, and hopefully you guys all enjoyed it. Hopefully you will also make sure to check out some of those other endings, because the bad endings are also pretty fun to watch either way. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this romp through this lovely game, and hopefully you will join me next time for whatever it is I decide to do. See you then.